I'm excited about today's topic. We are talking about cleansing our clothing closets. How many of you have done this recently? Maybe you've done a bit of a purge. If you are just joining in, these scrub streams I've been running over the last week. I have one more to go with you on finances. That's our next one coming up. So we'll hang here together for about 30 minutes today. And what I'm going to do is read through the chapter out of my new workbook, Seasonal Scrub. I'm going to go all the way to page 60. So if you have your copy, this is the clothing scrub chapter. I'm going to read through it. I'm going to share some helpful tools and tips and resources out of the workbook. And then I'm going to show you around our closet. I think I'll also show you the girls' closets because we did a redesign a few years ago, 2 years ago. And it changed our life. It was a big deal because we used to have just a complete muck in our closets, just too much stuff. And so I am excited to show you this because this is a system of organizing clothes that works. So you have a place for everything. Everything is in its place. So happy to have you guys here for a very relevant conversation on releasing the old and making room for the new. This is really the ethos of this workbook, and the timing of it was intentional and divine in some ways. I really got tapped to release this for you right now in this time because it is so important that we get rid of things that are no longer serving us and really make room for the new that's coming, and to have various areas of our life and home reflect back to us the free and sovereign and in control beings that we are, so that when it comes time to be making some of those bigger decisions in our life, which we are all being tapped right now to do, we can go into them with more confidence because there are various areas of our life that reflect back to us that state of being, okay? So I've gone deep with you guys on some of the previous streams. I'm gonna get right to the point today. If you want to hear more about what I'm talking about here, the bathroom scrub would be a good one to watch. That's actually been the most watched one of this whole series, I think, because of that intro where we went to a little bit of church together. But for today, we are talking about scrubbing our clothes closets. So if you have your workbook, turn to page 60. Okay, so I want to just go through with you some of the written out text I've done in this chapter. Let me go through and just go through the flow of this section and share some tips and show you some of the worksheets for this chapter. I'll show you those right now really quickly. So the first thing is, I mentioned this during the linen closet scrub, both of these worksheets, but you'll want to print the labels that I give you for going through and doing your prep, your gut, your sort, and your place. If you've been hanging out here for the last few streams, you know that that is the sequence we follow for every area we're scrubbing in our homes, okay? So these are some labels you can print and attach to large garbage bags or large hampers, whatever you find more helpful. For this section, what I found most helpful was to have a rolling clothing rack to put all of my keep items on, and then a hamper for the clothes I was planning to sell, and a garbage bag for the items I was planning to donate, or trash in some cases. Sometimes you might find things in your closets that really aren't all that wise to be donating, simply because that will just create unnecessary work for the good people at Goodwill to have to just toss your items if it's not something that could actually be used. So anyway, you will have some items that are meant just to be not circulated anymore. But that's a worksheet of labels. If you joined for the linen closet 2 days ago, you know that I've also given you labels for those shelves and, products that you might be making for your laundry room and things like that. The other thing you'll need for this stream is the Closet Schematic. I've gone ahead and uploaded this for free to the blog, which I didn't even share with you. Let me give you that. holfit.com/blog/closet. If one of you could please type that in, for everyone hanging out here, that would be appreciated. I have it saved above this video on Facebook already. So this schematic, you guys, is what you will use to, you might want to print a couple of these if you have a larger closet or multiple closets that you want to be organizing. What you'll do with this is after you've gone through the gutting and sorting process, before you get ready to place and you can see in front of you exactly what you're going to be keeping, you want to decide its new home. So you could map out on here where you have various areas within your closet. Maybe you have an L-shaped closet that you need to be mindful of, you know, what would fit in the smaller area versus the larger area. When I show you mine, you'll see that when we redesigned it, I was just really honest with myself. I don't wear a lot of dresses, so I had a tiny little area dedicated just to things that were longer, for example. Thank you, Mindful Mama. There's the link for those of you over on Instagram. Okay, so those are the worksheets mostly for this area, but I do share quite a few images in the closet chapter of organizational approaches to consider, which I've uploaded some of those images to that blog post, okay? All right, so let's go. You've arrived in your clothes closet. Welcome. You've been working towards this chapter for a while now, or maybe you skipped ahead to this because you know it's going to be the big one. Regardless, welcome to the big one. Here's what's up. As you go through the process of gutting and sorting, you'll have some moments of overwhelm, perhaps some heavy emotions as you make decisions on what stays and what goes. Clothing can be very sentimental, and sometimes we want to hold on to the past so tightly that we lose sight of who we are and who we are becoming. There's an energy to clothing, right? I'm sure a lot of you have experienced this as you've gone through your closets recently. There's things that are really hard to part with at times, even though you know they're not meant to go with you into the new. This is part of the reason I sequenced these scrubs in the order that I did, to build that cleansing muscle. So go with it and see what you are able to release here and earn some extra cash in the process. I'm going to talk about that in today's stream as well. After you complete this scrub, you'll likely feel eager to go back and clear out some more. Go with it. You'll notice that you feel energized by releasing items that don't align with who you are today. So I found this happened. I did my initial scrub of my closets, and then after I went through that process, I realized there was still quite a bit I was hanging on to. And I actually started to become motivated and inspired by the idea of releasing more. You'll probably notice that happens. And one of the things I realized when I was doing this process was, for most of my 20s, when I was working in a corporate job, I was working 60-hour weeks, a reward I would give myself to tune out a little bit was I would go to the mall. And at that time, I ran a district of stores. I used to sew some of my stores, and some of my travel would have me going into Toronto, for example. And when I would go into Toronto, I would always spend the rest of my evening going to some kind of a mall. And so much of my 20s was about that. It was like filling a void, right? And ultimately, when I became a mother for the first time in my 30s and then launched HOL Fit, that void wasn't there anymore. I don't know how many of you can relate to that, maybe that you filled a void with shopping. And it wasn't that it was an addiction, it was that I was ignoring the real work. And so now in my 40s, what I love to do is continue to release things that no longer represent who I am. In my opinion, the 40s are the best decade so far. I'm loving this season of my life. And so I just wanted to provide some context. Maybe you can relate to that, where maybe you're in that state right now where you find yourself shopping all the time to fill some kind of ignore some kind of work that is asking you to look at, right? And you may find this process helps you navigate that, which is a good thing. So I show you a quick before and after on page 61 of our closets. I'm going to show you the tour today. So we went with, when we were redesigning our closets, we used IKEA's PAX system. I love the way it turned out, and I share with you on the blog and in the scrub book a planning tool you can use, even if you're not planning to use IKEA for a redesign of your closets. They have free planning tools which work like virtual blueprints. You can enter your measurements, height, depth, width, everything, and you can see what your closet could be, right? Based on the space that you have. And it can help you actually in organizing, even if you're not planning to invest in a new system like IKEA's, right? I find IKEA is also, you know, I'm a fan of some of their things. I definitely am a fan of their closet organization compared to other brands like California Closets, for example. You're going to save so much money going the IKEA route. So if you're looking for a good organizational tool, I would definitely check them out. So I link that up. Our home was your typical, when we built our home, we just left the closets at that time. So we had the typical wire shelving that they put in homes, right? And we actually kept that for about 2 years before I was just done. I was just so stressed out by my closet. So hence this and what I'm going to show you today. But I do link up for you their planning tool. I show you an example of our blueprints. So we did our master closet, the kids' closets, and our mudroom. And so, you know, when you have a better way for storing things, it can give you more of that boutique-y feel so that when you walk into your closet, you're actually inspired to try new looks and find new things. I found prior to this, I was always wearing the same 5 or 7 shirts, right? Same looks all the time, which can have a function if you are adopting more of the Steve Jobs method to running your business. Not making decisions around your clothing each day is smart at times, but sometimes can get a little bit boring, right? So I give you some pictures of our before and afters there. You'll find on the blog as well, but let's go through some of the tips that I share, okay? So number 1, let's talk about hangers. So a really good goal to have, a few things I want to say here is if you can only invest in one thing for your closet, purchase all of the same hangers. I personally love those thin velvet hangers because they will hold all different types of clothes, especially if you have a lot of shirts or cardigans that are thinner and tend to slide off of the hangers. That is a wise investment for your closets. It will also immediately give your closet more of a boutique organized feel. Okay, so if you have all different kinds of hangers, your eyes see chaos. So that's the first tip I want to share. The second tip I want to share when it comes to hangers is have a goal going forward. Once you've gone through the gutting and sorting and placing, have a new rule for yourself that you will never buy new hangers again, okay? What this means is it will encourage you to, anytime you buy a new item of clothing, a new shirt, for example, your new rule is that you must sell or donate a current shirt in your closet. This is a good system to get into. You know, when I talk about finances in 2 days, this is one of the things I also encourage you to think about. Whenever you're buying something new, think about how many hours of work that new item will cost you and if it's really worth it. And if it still is, go for it, but have a rule of releasing one of those items in your closet. So you're never buying new hangers again. Plan to also hang as many items as possible. That way you're seeing everything clearly. It also will help you with organization. So I hang everything in my closet except for t-shirts, which I love, jeans, leggings, PJs or loungewear, and bulky sweaters. That's what I keep in drawers. Everything else is hung, which you'll see. And also when you're hanging your clothes, you want to hang them all in the same direction. So again, these are just quick things you can do that won't really cost you anything, but will help your closet feel more organized. I give you some links, and for those of you who haven't visited the landing page yet, holfit.com/seasonal scrub, you will see I have a shop for items you can purchase to use in your closet, etc. All the other areas of your home. So a couple of the things I've linked up in there are felt drawer organizers. Those are really helpful for sorting socks and bras and unders. We use this in all of our underwear drawers just to keep like items together, like sports bras together, nicer lingerie together, different types of socks like running socks and dressier socks. You know, it's just a nice way to organize them. I mentioned this during the linen closet stream. But if your closet is smaller and you need more room, one thing to try are the rolling bins. If you have a few beds in your home, you could fit probably 3 or 4 of those rolling bins under your bed. So that's a good way to utilize space and hold out of season items. So if you live somewhere like I do in Canada and you've got seasonal climates, you know, storing those bulkier sweaters and items is smart, so they're not taking up a bunch of room in the summer, for example, right? Okay, let's see, more tips. I mentioned a clothing rack already for when you're pulling everything and gutting your closet. It's helpful to keep a clothing rack there so you can display the items that you're going to be keeping. But I also like to use a clothing rack weekly, especially, let's say I'm going on a business trip, right? I like to see all of my outfits laid out for that trip so I can put them together. Sometimes I'll even put a Post-it note on each outfit designating what day I'm wearing it based on what's happening that day. If I'm speaking at a function or something, I've got that outfit laid out. If it's like an outdoor party or something, I've got that outfit. So, but I will do that some weeks when I'm just going to be really busy. So for those of you that might work 9 to 5 kind of situations. I don't know, you know, many of you are working from home right now, but it's still a good idea to dress up for yourself. So a clothing rack can help you organize your outfits for the week. You might want to do that every Sunday afternoon. I also use a clothing rack for when I'm selling clothing, which I'm going to talk about today in a few minutes. So clothing rack's a good investment. You can buy them anywhere. I've linked one up for you in the Amazon shop as well. Let me see. A few tips for your laundry room as it pertains to clothing. So I mentioned this during the linen scrub, but personally, I like to just run a load every morning if I have enough to run a load of laundry rather than having a laundry day. That just keeps everything moving and simple. And we just, right after supper, when the kids come up, we put away our clothes. So it's just real quick every day. I find that helpful. But I keep a donation bag or hamper in my linen closet because I have room, but you could also keep one in your laundry room to toss items in between seasonal scrubs. So this workbook is meant to be used every season, or at least twice a year. So as you go through this content for the first time, when you're doing your closets for the first time, it's going to take you a lot longer. As you go through it every 4 months, you'll find it just becomes seamless. And so you might want to have a bin or something to collect donations in between doing scrubs. Okay, so let's go through some tips as you be gutting and sorting. So I recommend, if you're dealing with a larger closet especially, that you move one category of clothing at a time. So, you know, focusing on t-shirts first, for example. As you're going through it, I saw somebody shared a tip here around, yes, okay, I'm going to share that in a second. So if you haven't worn something in over a year, you likely won't wear it again. So keep that in mind as you're making decisions. Sometimes the only joy this piece of clothing was supposed to bring was on the day you bought it, right? That's the Marie Kondo method of, does this still spark joy? So this is what I found is some of the items I was holding on to were things I was never going to wear again, but I was holding on to them because I thought I should. And I was able to release them when I understood that maybe all that shirt was meant to bring into my life was joy in that moment on the day when I bought it, probably in my 20s when I was avoiding other issues. You know what I mean? So that, does it still spark joy, is really helpful if you acknowledge that maybe all it was ever meant to do was bring joy in that moment and not anymore. If you can't decide if you want to release an item, add it to a maybe area of your closet and decide on the next scrub. One tip Oil Concierge mentioned here is hang items backwards and flip the hanger once you wear them so you can easily see what you're actually wearing. I love that tip. And then the last tip here is think about who you are today versus who you were when you bought this item. Does it still deserve a place in your life going forward? Okay. And then I give you some questions, and I'm on page 66 for those of you following along. Just some basic questions if you're having a hard time releasing things. When was the last time I wore it? Okay, so hence the hanger flip. Does it actually look good on me? Does it fit? Do I like it, but it just needs a repair or to be ironed to be wearable? Those are other items you might want to store in a hamper for a rainy day when you can do some repairing or take it in somewhere to have that done. Does it have sentimental value? This can be tricky, so don't force it, right? Allow yourself to come back to this item at a later date when you feel like you've got a little more decision-making power. Now, some organizational tips I want to share, which I find fun and helpful, or as my husband often says, fun and flirty. Organize your clothing by type first. So if your closet affords you the space to do this, rather than having all of your shirts together, for example, have all of the like items together. So these are different categories you're thinking of that I itemize on page 67. So you're thinking of shirts. You want to first organize by type and then by length. So having all your short sleeve shirts together and then your long sleeve shirts together. You're thinking of blouses, long dresses, short dresses, skirts, jeans and pants, blazers, sweaters and cardigans. So these are typically the areas you're thinking of when it comes to your hanging space. The second tip I have is color coding. This can be fun if you do have quite a few different colors in your closet and patterns. I'm a huge fan of this, whether it's with essential oil bottles, I've shared that before, or clothing. So I like to color code in the Roy G. Biv method. So when I have shirts, for example, I love fun, bright colors, neon. You'll see a lot of that in my closet. So I tend to go that red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet sequence. But what I also do is I will, if I have a shirt with a lot of red in it, but it's a pattern, I will stick it with the red. So the point of this is that when you look at your closet, visually you can see what you have. So let's say you're in the mood to wear something red. You can see everything you have in that tone family, right? So color coding is just it's appealing to your eyes. So when you walk into your closet, you actually feel inspired, okay? That might not pertain to you. Another method you can work with is going dark to light or light to dark. That way, if you've got a lot of neutrals, that's an easy way for your eyes to see exactly what you have. Let me see. Okay, so let me just summarize those points, and then I want to talk about turning your clothing into cash. So using all the same hangers, hanging your clothes all in the same direction, hanging as many things as possible so you can see them, sorting by color and type. And then your goal would be to never buy another hanger again, right? So going through this process every couple of months, as you buy something, you have a goal of releasing an item. So let's talk about turning our clothes into cash. And again, once you've gutted and done the process, when you have your design done on your blueprint, everything will have a place, right? And that just feels good. So let's talk about turning stash into cash. You can probably find a consignment store in your area. That's like the known method, right? But I want to provide you a few platforms to look at when you have clothing that's still in great condition. It's just not for you anymore, okay? A few of the favorites I've used over the years are Once Upon a Child for kids clothing. They are owned by the same umbrella company as Play It Again Sports and Plato's Closet, which I wanted to mention here as well. So there's about 500 locations across North America. I don't know if they've branched outside of North America. I don't think so. So you'll probably find one near you if you live in North America. But you basically bring in your hamper of clothing to sell, and they go through it and they call you in about an hour, and they'll give you cash right on the spot for what they want to buy from you. Now, Plato's Closet tends to cater to teenagers through the 30s. So think of clothing and brands that would appeal to that group, like American Eagle, Abercrombie, Lululemon. That's typically what they will buy from you at Plato's Closet. But I personally love that. It's such a great way to circulate, upcycle clothing and get some quick cash. Once Upon a Child, I'm obsessed with, because if you have kids, they move through sizes so quick and they tend to buy a lot more. I find Plato's Closet's a little pickier based on what's current, whereas with kids' clothes, it's not like the fashion's changing all that much. So So definitely check out those two platforms. And yeah, someone mentioned Style Encore is a great place to sell clothes. I've never heard of that platform, but if you guys have other ones you use, please share with each other here. But the one one other tip I'll share before I share my favorite platform is getting friends together, girlfriends together for a clothing shop. That can be really fun. I've done this in the past with some girlfriends. We all brought racks of clothing for sale, got some snacks out, we priced the clothes, and then friends would come by and shop and hang out. So that's another fun idea. But if you have clothes in great condition and mostly from current brand names, you'll want to check out Poshmark. There are a few other platforms like this, but I want to focus on Poshmark because in my opinion, it's the most fun and it's really simple. So I'll mention here that I actually have my closet of clothes I'm selling going up this Friday on Poshmark. So I've linked that for you in the blog post. If you want to receive an email when my closet goes live, you can go to holfit.com/shop my closet. You can join an email list there, and then I'll send out an email once it's live and then when I upload new stuff. But let me talk about Poshmark here and why I think it's so fun. So it's really easy to use, first of all. So it comes as an app or a desktop version. You could actually do everything from your phone on this platform. You upload your pictures simply and then type up a description and on you go. There's a huge community of shoppers on there, around 40 million at the last count. So this is, from what I've seen, the place to be when you're selling and buying clothes that perhaps some of your favorite stores don't sell anymore. That's a great place to look. They do take 20% commission, but that's to be expected. You'd find the same thing with any consignment store, really. The shipping is simple. So the only limitation here is, for me, for example, I live in Canada. I have to choose whether I want to sell on Poshmark.ca or Poshmark.com. We spend half of our year in the US as well. So the limitation here is, if I set up my Poshmark in Canada, I can't use their system to sell to buyers in the US. What you could do is pick a platform and then work some things offline for people who want to purchase from another country. So even though I live in Canada, 80% of the people who visit my website are from the US. So that's a bit of an issue for me anyway. But aside from that, the shipping's really simple because you print labels right within the app, and Poshmark will moderate all returns and refunds. So it's much more of a white glove service, if you will, over a platform like eBay, right? So on page 73 of the workbook, I'm not going to go through each of these, but I do itemize for you exactly how to start selling or buying on Poshmark. So you basically download their app. You can look it up in the App Store. And if you guys want to go on there just to buy, you can get a $15 credit if you type HOLFIT, HOLFIT, into the code box as you're setting up your profile. You'll see a spot where you can enter a code, and that will give you a little bit of Poshmark cash. Another thing I mentioned on page 73 is I give you a spreadsheet. I created an inventory spreadsheet for you to use. You make a copy of it, and then you can use that to track your listings. So in there, you'll see columns for the item, the size, the item condition, an item link if you want to look up your item on either the retailer that you bought it from or just see what it's sold for by somebody else in the past, just so you can get a brief idea of what you want to sell it for. And then a category to list your purchase price, your selling fees, shipping fees, and then your profit. So there are neon green cells built into this spreadsheet I made for you that will automatically tabulate your profits based on what you input. Okay, so you just don't want to touch those neon colored cells. But yeah, that if you guys have the workbook already, on page 73, you'll find the link to that inventory spreadsheet. And then the last page, 74 of this chapter, I go through just a recap of the prep, the gut, the sort, and the place. Okay, I'm gonna end Facebook. Bye for now. And I'm gonna pop you guys into my handy dandy tripod. Always try to be careful when doing this so that I don't lose you. Okay, be good. All right, how about I pop into the girls' closets quickly. I'll show you one of theirs. Here's my daughter Emmy's room. How cute, right? Oh. Okay, I'll turn the light on here. So pretty typical closet size for a bedroom. Had enough room for two bays, okay? So this is an example of the IKEA PAX system. So here in the drawers are t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, leggings and pajamas. You can see up here we have a hanging bay for dresses. And then here are long sleeve shirts and then short sleeve shirts. Got some room for shorts. Pants are hung on this style of system. And then we have a drawer here for unders and this rolling rack for bathing suits and such. Another thing we did in theirs was a little jewelry organizer, which I think is just a fun way to display their little jewels. I keep a bottle of linen spray in here for just freshening things up as needed, but it works well. It's just a nice little, and Chloe's got a very similar display. So same idea. She has less clothing than her sister, obviously. Sister gets a lot of donations from Big Sister. So now I'll just take you into our master closet. Let me scroll so I can see your comments. Let me know if you guys have any questions as we go. So our master, this was one interesting problem to have, is we didn't put a door in our closet. So when we moved into this house 4 years ago, like I said, we just had the white wire shelving that comes pretty standard. And so the problem here was every time I walked into there's the whole fit bath, right? Every time I walked into our bathroom or was having a nice relaxing bath, I was staring at this closet. And so that really lit a little fire into my butt to get this better organized. So I'll show you really quickly. When you walk in, our closet's actually the size of, like almost the size of a bedroom. You could fit a bed and a dresser in here, which is fun. But here's my husband's side. He gets 2 bays and I get 5. Good hubby. So, okay, let me just show you what I did. So when I was working on the redesign of this closet, again, I scribbled out first where I wanted everything to go based on what I was keeping. And then I used IKEA's PAX planner, like I've shared, to map that out more in an easier to read and inspiring template. Okay. So that can be really fun to use if you, even if you're not using their systems, just to be able to see what you're working with. The light's really bright in here. One of the things we have a wall with a window above it. So rather than building something under the window, I used this as my little getting ready area each morning to work with the light that's there. But what you'll see is a form of color coding. Okay, so here I have heavier sweaters going from dark to light. Then I have my long sleeve denim flannels, short sleeved, kind of like not dressy shirts, but just more casual. I've got all of my jeans down here. And then in these drawers, I have shorts and leggings. Then I've got long sleeves and kind of dressier sweaters here. So again, moving from dark, getting some rainbow in there to light. And in the drawers in this bay, I have t-shirts and then bulkier sweaters, more bulkier sweaters, and then stuff that I just kind of wear seasonally. I also have those jewelry organizers that I showed you in the girls' rooms. I love these. So this is, again, all done through IKEA, but I have linked up for you some jewelry organizers in that scrub shop. Then I have my kind of dressier business casual kind of stuff, which I haven't worn in 2 years. So I'm probably scrubbing a lot more of this stuff. So here again, I moved by type. So I have dressier tank tops here, sorted by color. Then I move through short sleeve, long sleeve, and building in patterns along the way. Dressier pants are here. Bathing suits are down there. And then this is the smaller bay I have for dresses, because I don't wear a lot of dresses. And I have some skirts here, leggings, and then what else? I also did a bay on this side of just purses that I've also organized by color. Let me grab my notes and see what else I want to go through with you. I mean, one of the things you'll see in here, I want to show you, like, the matching hangers is a big deal, right? So when I look at a bay of clothes, they're all that thin velvet and a hanger. And if I had other ones in there, it would, to my eyes, it would look chaotic, right? So, and actually I do have a few here that are different, even though they have the same top on them. I have some wood hangers built in there, and you can see that it kind of sticks out. I mean, once you start getting into it and get organized, then you just keep refining, right? So like I said, if the only investment you make is buying all of the same hangers, that will go a long way. Let me see. My jewelry was a mess before too, guys, by the way. This helped me just organize it nicely. I actually have 2 sections where I keep different funky jewelry pieces. Oh, the last thing I'll mention for just keeping your clothing fresh. So I don't know where I bought this. I have a bunch of these little Doterra felt discs, but you can buy, and these are meant for like freshening, like being a little closet refresher. You drop the oils on the felt and then it diffuses. But you could very simply just grab some pieces of felt from a craft store and tuck one in each drawer, and then add a couple of drops of lavender or cedar wood or patchouli or serenity. Any of those would be really nice to use on felt in your drawers, and it'll just add a nice little boost of aromatics. So when I do the scrub every couple months, I go through and I just add new oils to the pieces of felt. So that's the closet. I don't know if you guys have any questions. I thought it'd be helpful to show you. I do have a lot of pictures of the before this on that blog, and I have them in the workbook as well. And this is much more appealing to look at when I'm sitting in the bath. but you know, maybe that's a 2-year out investment or so for you. Start small. The first thing I did was I bought all those matching hangers, and then I just kind of worked my way from there. Less is more too. Less is more. When you go through this for the first time, you'll notice you're feeling more inspired to release items. Yeah, the felt in the drawer works really well. Serenity is your favorite. Awesome. I love Serenity. We do that every night in the diffuser with the kids. Oh, cool. Here's a tip. You can get felt circles made just for that, or just for the bottom of furniture to use that. Yeah, you know, the sliders that prevent chairs from making noise on the floor. Great tip. The thin hangers save space too. Exactly. So wood hangers, I love wood hangers, but they will take up more room. And so if you're challenged for space, those thin ones are such a good investment. I went from a walk-in closet to 12 inches in my tiny house. That is a task. Donating gifted clothing is so hard for me. Think about the reason. Think about what it was meant to do in your life in the first place. And if you realize it was more about the gifting of it, you could also take a picture of it and keep it in a photo album. I know people have done that. Awesome. All right, so this brings us to the end of Scrub Stream for the closets. We have one more on cash flow finances in a couple of days. Let me know if you'll be joining me for that one. But I've really enjoyed being on here over the last week and a half with you guys. And if you haven't yet, head over to the landing, check out the new workbook. I think it's really good timing to go through this. And you know what? At the very least, you're going to give yourself a win. How many of you just need a win right now? Myself included. There's just so much shifting and heaviness going on in our world. We need a win. We need to feel like we are in control, and we are. And this will help remind you of that.